Never had a lot, this is all I need.
What is up, guys? Welcome back to Scott Talks. Today, it's episode 4, but before we get into that, I just want to have a few housekeeping things to get out the way, and I just want to say thank you for 100 plus plays. That's major. That's love. I want to do this for a while, so to see the support that I've gotten, whether it's the repost, just the listening, the text saying, hey, I really like this, that's dope right there, man. That's love. So thank you guys for that. And also with today, I think this will be the first episode where I talk about some sports stuff. So just to get some housekeeping out the way, I think Mondays are going to be my sports day. And then Fridays, just kind of like my personal talks. So I hope you guys are cool with that. Without further ado, let's get right into it. Today's episode is about the Enigma of Kyrie Irving. So if you're anyone who's anyone, you probably know who Kyrie Irving is. He probably is one of the best ball handles that I've seen, at least live. Big time scorer. And we all know he hit the famous shot versus the Warriors back a few years ago. This guy can ball. He's a hooper. He has his own signature shoe line with Nike. He's been on Team USA. He's been in all the All-Star games. He's an NBA champion. That's Kyrie Irving. Right? On the court, no one can deny that. I think he's one of the most skilled guards we have in the league. Whether it's from his handle, it's from his scoring. I mean, he just dissects defense. That's what he does. I mean, when I heard KD and Kyrie pairing up, I was like, man, that's a lot of buckets. Two of the hardest players to guard on one team. That's crazy, right? But something that's kind of also followed Kyrie for some reason is that he's a chemistry destroyer. He's immature. Remember, he left Cleveland because he wanted to be the man. And then apparently in Boston, they said, kind of turned his back on the team, stuff like that. So ever since he's left Cleveland, he hasn't really found the same success. Some of it due to injuries, some of it due to other things. Whatever the reason may be, he just hasn't been able to come back to the finals since he's left LeBron, right? And then also earlier this year, they had some stuff about how he said he finally is on a team with someone who can hit big shots or something like that. And everyone took it as a diss to LeBron. I don't know if it was a diss to LeBron or not. Again, that's not what I'm here to debate. But, so Kyrie has this stigma off the court that he's not the best guy, which I don't think is true. I just think, he's a great player. He just maybe has some stuff and says some things that people don't like. And then also, earlier this year, he kind of took a leave of absence without really telling his coach or management and stuff, which again, he is human, so stuff does come up. Sometimes people do need a break from things, but when you're getting paid $30 million a year, you got to let the right people know and, kind of don't turn your back on your teammates. So, with all that being said, when this season started, it was Kyrie and KD. Kyrie was out for a while with his leave of absence, and then, as we all know, the huge trade went down. Boom, Nets get Harden, right? So now, where does Kyrie fit into this big three, right? So by trading for Harden, they lost Jared Allen, they lost Karis LeVert, and they just lost some depth. They lost some depth. They lost their picks, so it's kind of a championship or bust for them right now. This is almost giving me vibes of when they went all in for Paul Pierce, Deron Williams, and ISO Joe, and KG. So, they were all past their prime. They gave all those picks up. We all know how that went. Again, that team made the playoffs, but they didn't really meet expectations of a championship. So where does Kyrie fit into all this, right? Harden is an MVP caliber player. He's one of the best scorers and playmakers in the league. Kevin Durant, one of the best scorers and not playmakers, but just one of the best scorers and all-around players in the league. I think he's second best basketball player on the planet right now, if not the best, and that's only behind LeBron. So, came off this injury, he's playing like an MVP. Great. Now, Kyrie. So, these past 3 games, the Nets have played Cavs twice and the Heat. Lost to the Cavs twice. It's a young Cavs team, although the Cavs have been hooping. Shout out to my boy Sexton. But Cavs lost both those games. They beat the Heat. And in those 3 games, Kyrie had 37 points, 38 points, and I believe 28. So he's scoring. We all know Kyrie can do that, and he's showing and proving that he can do that. Right? But one thing that is concerning me about this Nets team and the Kyrie situation is the minutes. Players are playing a lot of minutes, and I don't know if you can win basketball games by playing your starters, 36 to 40 minutes every night. Like, it's a 72 game season this year. Even though it's a shortened season, you know, you're going to get wear and tear, you're going to get body. And that's why LeBron, I think, is one of the best players because, again, you know, he knows when to take load management. He knows when to, you know, say, hey, okay, we're up. I'm not going to play tonight. Or, hey, we're up. You know, coach, you can take me out. Because, again, you can't, you're not going to be able to win games if you're tired during the playoffs. So they finally got their first win against Miami Heat. It was a very narrow win, though. They were up 18 at one point, I believe, and they blew that lead. Sometimes the Heat were within 1 point. And then they ultimately came out on top with a 4-point win. But an interesting thing about that Heat team was there was no Jimmy Butler, there was no Tyler Herro, there was no Avery Bradley, no Myers Leonard. So this is a very depleted Heat team. And with that being said, something that was real concerning was Bam had 40 that night. And I'm a huge Bam fan. I love Bam. I'm a big Kentucky guy. But I think part of that is also because we don't have any bigs in Brooklyn. I'm not a Brooklyn fan. So I don't know why I said we. I'm a very faithful Wizards fan, unfortunately. But besides the point. So Bam goes off. He's erupting. It's clear they don't have anyone who can stop this guy. And that's because you give away Jared Allen, your best big. And it's kind of like, whoa. But I do hear they're trying to get JaVale McGee. So that's good. I think JaVale has really become a great rotational piece for any team. I watched him when he was in the Wizards. And I just think, I've always known he was a great defender, super athletic guy. So I think he's going to be great. So let's see. Blew an 18-point lead. We just talked about that. So yeah. So now we just talked about Kyrie and kind of where he fits in and why. But now I'm going to tell you why I think he's the X factor. We've all seen what Harden can do. Harden can score. He can play make. And, you know, he just wants to win a championship. Durant, we've seen, even when he went to the Warriors, he led that team. Same thing when he was in OKC. Like, Durant, he's going to get his, bro. And he's going to do whatever it takes to win. Now, Kyrie, the reason why I think he's the X factor is because Harden can play make and he can take the ball responsibilities. KD can score, but Kyrie's going to have to really step up and really buy into this system, which I think he will because, again, I think Kyrie has something to prove to everyone, too, that, you know, hey, he didn't just win because of LeBron. Like, you know, he can win with other players. He can win other places than Cleveland. But if Kyrie can continue to score like this and continue to contribute and, you know, play some decent defense, I think he'll be all right. You know, they do have Bruce Brown behind him, who I think is a great defender, real scrappy guy, real strong guy, too. I like Bruce Brown a lot. So I think Kyrie, if he buys in and he plays team ball, I think Kyrie can definitely turn some heads this season. I don't think that there's any reason why Kyrie shouldn't be an all-NBA selection this season, as well as Harden and KD. Now, let's talk about KD and Harden and where they fit into all this. So KD still looks like the MVP. I mean, he's been scoring all season efficiently, too. And I think that's what people forget. He's coming off this injury, hasn't played basketball in a year, like, you know, in the NBA. And he just come back terrorizing dudes. I mean, I think he has a chip on his shoulder saying, hey, I'm still that dude. You know, everyone's talking about Giannis, Luka, you know, and he's like, no, I'm still the big dog. This is still my league. Because Kevin Durant's the best scorer to ever touch a basketball. And I thoroughly believe that. I really think he's the second best small forward all time. I think he's better than Larry Bird, and I think he's only behind LeBron. But he's also from PG County, where I'm from, so, you know, I'm a little biased. But KD, that's a bad boy right there. That's a bad boy. So, again, KD looking like the MVP again. Now, Harden, which is more interesting, is this. In Houston, we really saw him more of like a prolific scorer. I mean, Harden was putting up crazy stat lines. But what people really forget about Harden is when he was in OKC, you know, he was the third option. Like, he was behind KD and Russ and sometimes even Serge. So he kind of was, you know, sixth man of the year. And in that role, Harden could still score. I mean, we've seen him score at Arizona State. We've seen him score in OKC. But he was really, a primary playmaker, a secondary playmaker. Because Russell Westbrook actually, if I remember correctly about that team, he really was more of a two guard than he was a one guard. So Harden really has always been a great playmaker. And in these past 3 games where since Kyrie's came back, Harden has scored 21 points or less in all 3 of those games. But I think he has had double-digit assists in all those games. So again, he's definitely taking the role of a playmaker, and I think Harden's more comfortable with that. I think Harden likes that he doesn't have to score every possession. Like, again, Harden can definitely, I just still don't want to see Harden in the ISO because that he will destroy any defender in front of him. But I think he's more comfortable actually being a primary playmaker than he is having to score every possession down or feeling like he has to score because no one else can. So I think Harden definitely is way more comfortable in this role. And in a tweet that I put out when the trade happened, I said, if Harden can become the primary playmaker and Kyrie play more of just a strict scorer along with KD, they're gonna work. They're gonna win because again, everyone's like they're all ball dominant, but no, people don't understand. Harden is very willing to pass. He's always been a very willing passer and a great passer at that, especially in the pick and roll. So I'm really happy for Harden. Huge Harden fan. Actually, I'm just a huge OKC fan from that era. So huge props to Harden. And now this is where it gets a little interesting about the Nets roster, and this is what's going to ultimately determine what happens. So Jeff Green has been playing like 26 minutes a game. He's been playing a lot of minutes. And I love Jeff Green. I think he's been a really solid role player. My guy out of Georgetown. But Jeff Green is only 6'8", 6'9", which is no problem. But again, Jeff Green can't guard every 7-foot guy, 7'1" guy, 6'10", 11. You know what I mean? Like he's more of a forward than he is a big. So definitely that's concerning. As well as DeAndre Jordan. I'm a huge DeAndre Jordan fan. I think he's one of the most efficient centers in the league. However, this season he just hasn't been the same. I think he's had like 4, 5 rebounds last weekend. I think he had 1 8-rebound game. But you're the real, you're the only actual center on the roster, and you're getting 8 boards a game. That's 4 to 5 boards a game. That's not okay at all because they need him to man down the middle, and that's what Jared Allen was doing. He was manning down the middle, altering shots, blocking shots, getting rebounds. He was doing the defensive work that they need DeAndre Jordan to do. And then also Joe Harris, sharpshooter. He's been playing. I think he played 42 minutes in that overtime game, 31 minutes, and then 37 minutes. Like again, you can't play your starters every minute of the game. It's just not going to work. And that's the same thing that the late Kobe Bryant said was a problem in Houston, that you can't just play iso ball. You can't just play people, 1,000 minutes a game. Like you have to, in order to win a championship, you have to play team ball. And right now the Nets are lacking depth, and that's an issue. That's a really big issue and concerning. That's why it's gonna be real interesting when they play the Lakers, who are a team that everyone has the favorites out the West, and it's supposed to be one of the possible finals matchups. Lakers have bigs. Lakers have depth, and it's really going to be hard for the Nets to keep up with that. And again, I don't think the Nets don't have three of the best scorers in the league right now, but you can score out as much as you want, but if you are also giving up that same number of points, it doesn't matter. So, as I said, they're getting JaVale McGee, which I definitely think can help because JaVale can definitely play defense, and especially with the Cavs having Drummond and Jared Allen now, JaVale McGee is expendable. And then they're also getting Pell, who played for the Sixers last year, a G League guy. But Pell, man, he plays hard, he plays defense, blocks shots. I think he averaged almost 1.5 blocks, if not more, in like 16 minutes a game for the Sixers. I mean, that guy, he's an impact player. He comes in and he does his job. He's a high energy guy. Sorry. He's a high energy guy. So I definitely think Pell can be a nice addition. I still keep looking, in the G League and maybe some free agents to see, who else they can get. Because again, if they get 1 or 2 solid bigs on the roster, I think they should be all right. It definitely hurts that Spencer is hurt right now because I think this team with Spencer would definitely help a lot because, again, Spencer not only has become one of the better guards in the league, but he also does play defense. He plays hard. I think he would fit perfectly with this roster. So what's the ceiling for this team? I think if this team can put it together, there's no reason why they shouldn't be able to at least make the Eastern Conference Finals because I can't see anyone stopping Kevin Durant, Kyrie, and James Harden, especially if they get some pieces around them. They'll be all right. Personally, would I have traded all those picks away? No. I mean, I think it's a big risk. But one good thing is, though, Harden is friends with both Kyrie and Durant. I think he will re-sign. So, we'll just have to see. But I definitely think if they don't make at least the Eastern Conference Finals this year, it's a bust. Like they lost that trade. But the good thing is, though, even if they don't necessarily win a championship this year, at least they have this whole offseason now to bring in guys to fit around their pieces. With all that being said, guys, thank you so much for listening. Can't wait to talk some more basketball with you guys. You guys know the drill. Follow me on Twitter at DMV_Scott, as well as Instagram, and then also follow the podcast at podcast_Scott on Twitter. Thanks again, guys. Like I said, let me know. Shoot me a tweet saying what you think. What do you think this Nets team will do, and who's your finals predictions? Because right now, I have Lakers, Lakers Celtics, Lakers Heat. All right, guys, over and out.